Okay. Okay, as you can see, the title of the class today is going to be the title of the class is the history. We're going over the history of the oppressor's hatred because a lot of people don't understand and realize the history of the oppressor's hatred. That the oppressor has hated blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans from since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time, they have had a hatred towards blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that has lasted for over centuries, and it still hasn't gone away. But us as a people, we believe that that hatred is gone, that hatred is no more, and that these people love us and treat us with, and think that these people treat us with love and kindness, thinking that they love us, but that's not the case. That is not the case at all. Today, we're going to be going back into the history of the oppressor's hatred for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're going to go deep down into the history because we don't understand that the oppressor hates us to this day. Hates us to this day. It may seem like he comes and he's all sweet to us, but the truth is that the oppressor hates us to this day. And all people, we got to stop falling for that, for the sweet and kind, soft gifts and everything that they give us, the sweet and kindness that they come to us with. We got to stop taking that, stop taking the lies, and we got to wake up and realize that our oppressor truly hates us, truly has a hatred for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. We're gonna get into it. Because everybody thinks that there's nothing gonna happen to the oppressor. And nobody thinks anything's gonna happen to the oppressor. Because I mean, he's had this hatred towards blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans for over centuries. The Christian church, they love the oppressor. They love and they treat the oppressor with respect. Everybody in the world, they treat the oppressor with respect, thinking that he's harmless. He's not gonna do nothing. The truth is, he has a hatred for blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He has a hatred. He has had a hatred from since the beginning. Like I said, this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred. The oppressor, he had a perpetual hatred. What does a perpetual mean? A lot of people, they don't understand what perpetual means. I'm going to get the breakdown of what perpetual means, the meaning of perpetual. See, the meaning of perpetual is never ending or changing. The oppressor has had a never ending, never changing hatred towards blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. But we think that the oppressor somehow has changed. We think because we go out and we vote, because we go out and we do all the things that we do, we go out and we try to beg to be loved by the oppressor, that he is going to change and love us. He's going to change and treat us differently. But the truth is, the oppressor has had a perpetual hatred that is never ending. Never ending. His hatred has always been there and it always will be. You just don't see it. You're blind. All people, we're blind to it. We're blind to the hatred that the oppressor has to us. Because we're blinded by seeing the sweet things that we think is sweet, that we was taught to think is sweet from the oppressor. He comes out and he gives you gifts. He comes out and he supposedly loves you by giving you money. Apparently, that's loving somebody. But according to the Bible, that's not love. How much money you give somebody, that's not love. And that's what a lot of our people are stuck on. We think how much money we give is love. I mean, that's love. But no, the oppressor, he has a perpetual hatred and it is right in front of our faces, and we are blind to it because of the gifts that he gives us. He has a never-ending hatred towards us. And like scripture says, because thou hast had a perpetual hatred, a forever ongoing hatred, and has shed the blood of the children of Israel. Like, this man has shed the blood of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Think about all the things that have happened to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans because of the oppressor. Think about it. You got all these different things that have happened to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans because of how much hatred the oppressor has towards us. When they get into it, like you got to think about these things. You got to think about the think about the Native American brothers. You know how much hatred the oppressor has towards us, towards our Native American brothers. You got the Trail of Tears, where tens of millions of Native Americans were slaughtered and unalived and died. We got the whole article actually. This is the how Native Americans struggled to survive on the Trail of Tears. This says in the early 1800s, the Sovereign Cherokee Nation covered a vast region that included northwest Georgia and adjacent land in Tennessee, North Carolina, and Alabama. Under the terms of an 1819 treaty, the United States guaranteed that Cherokee land would be off limits to white settlers forever. Now, this is crazy because even though the oppressor made these treaties with the Native Americans, you know what he didn't do? He didn't keep them. He didn't keep them. He said he was gonna. He said he was gonna keep these all these people off the land. That these white people couldn't come on the land. Oh, we gonna keep the we gonna make this treaty. Ain't nobody can come on this land. Ain't nobody can bother you. Nobody's gonna bother you. But you know what happened? His actions proved different. That he didn't love them. That he had hatred towards them. Because you know what happened? They didn't keep that treaty. They didn't keep any of the peace treaties that they made with the Native Americans. They broke every single one of those treaties that they made with them. Every single one. They said they was gonna do this, and it didn't happen. They said they was gonna keep. They said they was gonna stay out the land. It didn't happen. They said they was gonna mess with they cows or with their animals, and it didn't happen because the oppressor has a perpetual hatred towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They truly have a hatred inside that is against Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's boiling against Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They didn't keep one peace treaty because truly deep down inside, they hate Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I hate them. Read that again. It says, under the terms of an 1819 treaty, the United States agreed, the United States guaranteed that Cherokee land would be off limits to white settlers forever. I said forever. But did that happen? Absolutely not. It didn't happen. You don't see the oppressor staying out of the Native Americans' land. They overran them. Now they run the whole land. They run it all. They run all of America because all of this was the Native Americans' land. All of it. It was here before them. And the oppressor took it all from them. Took it all from them. All of it. Because truly, deep down inside, he hated. Truly, deep down inside, he hated the Native American brothers. Because he didn't care what they thought. He wasn't really going to keep the peace treaty between them. He wasn't really going to keep his agreements. But he was coming up against them and getting them out of there. And that's exactly what happened. Exactly what happened. They ended up slaughtering tens of thousands of Native Americans after they told them, "Oh no, we're gonna keep these treaties. We're gonna definitely stay at your lands," and it didn't happen. Forever lasted less than 20 years. Less than 20 years. Like dang. After less than 20 years, it didn't even last that long. They said, "Oh no, we're gonna stay at your land." Less than 20 years later, they was being raided. It says, although the treaty mandated the removal of all white people who have intruded or may hereafter intrude on the lands of the Cherokees, the United States instead forcibly removed more than 15,000 Cherokees in 1838 and 1839. As many as 4,000 died of disease, starvation, and exposure during their detonation and forced migration through 9 states that became known as the Trail of Tears. Man. After they didn't keep these peace treaties because they truly did not love these people, because they truly had a deep hatred for the Native American brothers and sisters, they ended up unaliving and forcibly moving them out because these people have had a perpetual hatred and ended up bringing diseases on them. After they told them, oh no, we're going to stay out your lands. We're not going to go in your lands. We're not going to bother you guys. None of our people are going to come in your lands and mess with you guys. They ended up coming and forcibly removing them. 15,000 of them, brothers and sisters who were forcibly removed over 9 states. 9 states and a bunch of millions, 10,000 brothers and sisters died because the oppressor didn't keep his peace treaty. He didn't keep his peace treaty because the oppressor has a perpetual hatred towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He has a perpetual hatred towards you. He's not willing to keep any peace treaty with you. He's not willing to keep any peace treaty with us because he's really set against us. He's really trying to knock us out. It says Indian Removal Act forces tribes from native lands. The Indian Removal Act, signed by President Andrew Jackson in 1830, authorized the federal government to relocate tribes within state borders to unsettled land west of the Mississippi River. When white settlers encroached on Cherokee land to grow cotton and search for newly discovered gold, the United States ordered the Cherokee to join the Creek, Seminole, Choctaw, and Chickasaw tribes in resettling to present-day Oklahoma. Like, dang. Because the oppressor, all he cares about is himself and his own greed, destroyed the lives and took away the livelihood of the Native American brothers and sisters. And he took that away and relocated them and unalived millions of them because he wanted to go out and take the land for himself. He wanted to go out and get the gold that was in the land. That's what he was worried about. Now, I mean, if it was someone who really cared and loved you, they wouldn't do that thing. They wouldn't go out and take what was yours. They wouldn't take it from you. No. But because the oppressor, he didn't care about them, ended up taking it and removing them out of the land and destroying and unaliving and causing diseases to flow throughout their brothers and sisters, which caused them to be unalived. He unalived a lot of the Native American brothers and sisters because he didn't truly care about them. He didn't truly care about keeping the peace treaty between them. All he cared about was his own greed. That's all he cared about. But it says the first Cherokees to relocate approximately 2,000 men and women and children split into 4 groups. Did so voluntarily in 1837 and early 1838. They traveled westward by boat, following the winding paths of the Tennessee, Ohio, Mississippi, and Arkansas rivers. The journey for these voluntary exiles was as short as 25 days, and deaths unnumbered less than 2 dozen. Conditions proved far worse for the Cherokee, evicted from their homes at gunpoint by 7,000 federal troops dispatched by President Martin Van Buren. Beginning on May 26, 1838, soldiers under the command of General Winfield Scott rounded up the majority of the Cherokee along with 1,500 slaves and free blacks, forced them to leave behind most of their possessions and herd them into wooden stockades and interment camps. Hey, removed them from their own land and took them out somewhere else. After he had told them nobody would come in their land and disrupt them. None of my people will come in your land. But later on, They come and they make an agreement to come and disrupt you and take you out of your own land. You tell me what love that is. What love is being showed there? I only see nothing but hatred. And that's why I say we are blinded by the oppressor. We are blinded. Like, and his hatred is right in front of us. His hatred is right in front of us. We are blinded by it. We blinded and we can't even see that the oppressor he hates us. He doesn't love us. He has a perpetual hatred, like the scriptures say. It says conditions proved far worse for the Cherokee evicted from their homes at gunpoint. Oh, it's like it says men working in the fields were arrested and driven to the stock days. Recalled Private John Burnett, who served as an interpreter, who served as an interpreter. Women were dragged from their homes by soldiers whose language they could not understand. Children were often separated from their parents and driven into the stock days with the sky for a blanket and the earth for a pillow. And often the old and infirm were prodded with bayonets to hasten them to the stock days. Reverend Daniel Bucktrick, a missionary who had ministered in the Cherokee territory for 20 years, wrote, from their first arrest, they were obliged to live very much like brutal animals, and during their travels were obliged at night to lay down on the naked ground in the open air, exposed to wind and rain. A herd together, men, women, and children, like droves of hogs. And in this way, many are hastening to a permanent grave. Due to the poor sanitation of the internment camps, deadly diseases such as whooping cough, measles, and dysentery spread among the Cherokee. Hey, it was taken out of their own land and brought to a whole place and to places that were unsanitary to be unalived. Because truly the oppressor does not love you. Truly the oppressor has a hatred towards you and just wants you to be moved out the way. Because he just wants to do whatever he wants to do. And because the Native American brothers and sisters was in the way of that, he decided to remove them out of his way. Even after he told them nothing would happen to their land. Nobody would go into your land and mess with you. He broke that treaty because truly deep down inside him, he don't love us. He don't love the Native American brothers and sisters. Truly deep down inside, he has a perpetual hatred to him. A never-ending hatred. We'll go back into the scripture. This is Ezekiel chapter 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the children of Israel by force of the sword in the time of their calamity. Like, because this man has he's had a perpetual hatred and has shed the blood of the blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's so quick to shed blood. There's so many articles on the oppressor and so much history on the oppressor shedding blood. I've never seen it where he's talking about love. He's always talking about war and destruction and shedding blood. His history is all about destruction. It's about destruction and death and unaliving. It's about unaliving. I mean, then you got the Trail of Tears. You got the Trail of Tears. You also got the Black Wall Street. We're gonna get into Black Wall Street because that's a big part of history. A big part of history also. Another thing that the oppressor caused. It says the Tulsa Race Massacre. Fact-checking myths and misconceptions. Growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, 67-year-old Historian Scott Ellsworth remembers people treating the Tulsa Race Massacre like a shameful secret. Mm. I would occasionally overhear stories from adults, maybe neighbors or something, discussing the massacre, explains Ellsworth, author of the recently released The Groundbreaking, which which examines the massacre and its aftermath. But then, when they'd walk into the room, they'd change the subject or lower their voices. 100 years ago, on May 31st, 1921, and into the next day, a white mob destroyed Tulsa's Burning Greenwood district, known as the Black Wall Street. It, it, mm, in what experts called the single most horrific incident of racial terrorism since slavery. Here's why the Tulsa Race Massacre is still relevant today. And despite this devastation and loss, the story of Greenwood and the massacre is largely unknown among most Americans. The one thing that still happens is people say, "Why haven't I heard about this before?" Noted Ellsworth, whose 1982 book, Death in the Promised Land, is considered a groundbreaking work of the massacre. To answer the question, it's like, hold on. Okay, here we go. Wealth and poverty in Black Wall Street. Tulsa's Greenwood district was known as a Black Wall Street because it was home to a thriving community and entrepreneurs, artists, and working professionals who lived alongside since the domestic workers. Like, dang, we was in there working together. Working together. We was being a peaceable people, like we normally are. A normal people. Just like how the Native Americans brothers and sisters were being. They was being peaceable among each other. They was living their lives peaceably. I mean, dang, I don't have the book, but I know the book. The Black Indian, I think it was. It says that when Columbus came down, he said there was a peaceable people. It was a loving people, a loving and kind people. Because Black Hispanics and Native Americans, truly, you are a loving and kind people. But because the oppressor has driven you to have so much hatred towards your own people. He has driven you to have so much hatred towards your own God. He has driven you to the point of where now we are here unaliving each other, hating each other so much. Because the oppressor has driven us this far. Because the oppressor has had such a perpetual hatred against us and can't stand seeing us thrive. Can't stand seeing us do good. So whenever he sees us doing good, just like we was in Black Wall Street, he had to intervene because he wasn't doing good. He was suffering. But because we was thriving, they don't like that. They don't like to see Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans thrive. They don't like to see Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans making a way for themselves. But I'm gonna help you understand something. We finna make a way for ourselves. We finna come back to our true God, and we finna make a way. I mean, dang, all these other nations, they finna look at us and be like, dang, how did they survive that? How do they survive that destruction that they went through? But these people have had such a hatred towards Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans that they are coming up against you whenever you thrive, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, whenever you're doing good. And in Black Wall Street, we was doing good. Like it says, Black Wall Street, it was known as Black Wall Street because it was home to a thriving community. We had a thriving community. We had doctors, we had schools, we had our own schools, we had our own doctors, we had our own restaurants, we had our own everything, and we had our own community. Our communities were thriving. They were successful. They was doing good. That's what our communities were doing just fine. Just like the Native Americans, they was doing just fine, peaceful among each other. Just like how the brothers and the sisters was peaceful among each other during Black Wall Street. It was peaceable among each other. There was less crime. There was really no crime going on because there was no need to rob each other. There was no need to unalive a brother because we had jobs back then. We was doing good. We was thriving as a community, and the oppressor saw that and said, "No, now I have to intervene." Mm. Wow, there were well-to-do Greenwood residents. The wealth in Greenwood has gotten a bit exaggerated, said Ellsworth. There were certainly wealthy people, black people, there, but they were a small minority of the folks that were there. Greenwood's mansions and elegant homes were not far from simple. It's like far. Very simple wooden homes without electricity or running water, said Ellsworth. Many of those smaller dwellings, houses, cooks, maids, trufflers, and others who worked for white Tulsans. 100 American grape cities, black grape cities grapples with this historical origin. Yeah. At the time, a significant portion of Greenwood's population consisted of a conglomerate conglomeration of black businessmen and women who piled their trade in a segregated community, explained author and attorney Havano Jackson. There were theaters, dance halls, pool halls, hotels, and restaurants, as well as professionals like doctors, lawyers, dentists, and accountants. I mean, dang, we got our own stuff, but nowadays we ain't got that. We ain't really got that. Now we got brothers and sisters who come out here and shake their tail to the world. That's what they good at. They good at going out and sleeping with other men's wives. That's what they good at. We don't have a lot of people who are out here nowadays who are becoming doctors like that. We need more doctors. We don't have our own doctors. We don't have our own businesses no more. A lot of brothers and sisters, we don't have businesses. But because the oppressor, he hates us so much, he doesn't want us to thrive. He doesn't want us to thrive. Every time he sees us doing our own thing, he has to intervene. He can't be left out because he doesn't want to see you thrive. That's how much of a hatred the oppressor has toward Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He doesn't want to see you thrive here. He doesn't want to see you thrive at all, period. So he has to get you to buckle down. He has to understand, and he has to learn about you. And that's exactly what the oppressor did. He studied you. He studied you and saw what really made you upset, what really ticked you, what really got you out of your house, what really irked your nerves. And he used that against Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He used it against you and destroyed our people. But because this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 35 and verse 5. Because thou hast had a perpetual hatred and hast shed the blood of the children of Israel by the force of the sword in the time of their calamity, in the time that their iniquity had an end. Man, like dang, he forced the sword against Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, and he unalived tens of million brothers and sisters. Like we could keep on going on and on into the history of the oppressor unaliving us. So he still unalives us to this day. But now when we come out here and tell you why the things that the Lord is doing to the oppressor, no, you call us crazy. We get called crazy because we come out here and tell the truth of what's going to happen to the oppressor because of those things that he has done to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. I mean, then he did the things, and now he's receiving the judgment because because of his actions that he took. I mean, he's just receiving the judgment for the things that he did and has never paid for. I mean, we paid for the things that we did. Now it's time for the oppressor to pay for the things that he has done, for the destruction that he has caused the Most High's children, the children of Israel, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And that's why the Lord said this, verse 6. Therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood. And then he said he's going to prepare thee unto blood. And he's going to prepare you for war. I'm not going to prepare you for hugs and kisses and salvation. The Lord has something coming for the oppressor because of the things that he has done to it, because of the perpetual hatred that he has had towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. He's got something planned for him for those things. He says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. Man, blood is going to pursue them. They ain't going to be able to run from war. They ain't going to be able to hide from the war that is coming towards them. They ain't gonna be able to run from the bloodshed that is coming to America. And it's not our own words that are saying this. It's the Lord's. The Lord is saying this because of your doings, because of how you treated the children of Israel, how you treated Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee. The Lord said he going to pursue. He said the blood is going to pursue thee. War is going to pursue thee. War is coming to America. It's like to Babylon the Great. War is coming to this place because thou has had a perpetual hatred towards Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the children of Israel, the children of the Most High, because of thy doings, because of the destruction you have caused Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The Lord is preparing you for war. He's preparing you for the destruction that you sowed up. It says, therefore, as I live, saith the Lord God, I will prepare thee unto blood, and blood shall pursue thee, saith the host. Saith, thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. It's like, since thou hast not hated blood, even blood shall pursue thee. Because they didn't hate blood when they was out there unaliving the Native American brothers. They didn't hate blood then. They wasn't trying to stop bloodshed then. They wasn't trying to stop bloodshed whenever they was unaliving the brothers and sisters in Wall Street. They wasn't trying to stop bloodshed when they was unaliving the brothers and sisters there in the Rosewood. Dang, the Rosewood was a terrible tragedy, a situation that happened in the past. You know what happened in Rosewood? A oppressor woman, because of her tears, an angry oppressor mob went out and unalived innocent Black, Hispanics, and Native Black people. Went out and unalived innocent Black people for just because they wanted to, even though they knew that his wife, that the woman that was crying, was like to sleep around. They knew it wasn't them, but because they have a perpetual hatred towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they will blame you for anything. They will blame you for things you did not do. Things that we have not done, they will blame you for it. Because they have a perpetual hatred towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. They have a hatred that has been going on for generations. They don't love us. And they show it to us all the time. Rosewood was a terrible situation. This oppressor woman had a hatred towards Black people, and decided to blame Black people for the things that she was doing. She was going around and sleeping around and got herself beat up. But because she didn't want her husband to know, she blamed it on a Black man. Blamed it on a Black man, and now the angry mob went out and unalived a whole neighborhood, a whole little community of Black people who were innocent, did nothing wrong. Absolutely nothing wrong. Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, we got to wake up into reality, because these people, they have a hatred towards you. They have a perpetual hatred towards you. They don't love us. They don't love us at all. And that's why we've got to wake up. But because of the destruction they have caused Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, the Lord is going to punish the oppressor. Going to punish the oppressor for the things that he has done to Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, because he didn't hide from blood during those times. It was a running from blood. He wasn't trying to stop them from being unalive, but because he loved blood. What did it say? It says, since thou has not hated blood, because he didn't run from blood. He didn't hate shedding blood back then. He didn't hate shedding blood during the Trail of Tears, or hate shedding blood when he was throwing those babies to alligators. He didn't hate blood then. It says, even blood shall pursue thee. And now you're gonna be the one who's being unalived because of the things that you did, because of the things that you sold up. These ain't coming out of our own words. This ain't from ourselves. This is from the Most High, because of the things that the oppressor has done to Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Now it's finna happen to them. Now they're finna be unalived by the Most High. Now this place is gonna receive judgment from the Most High with thermal and nuclear warfare. Nuclear warfare. That's how this place is gonna be receive judgment, because of the things they have done to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Not just because they're a certain color. No, these crimes that they have committed have gone up and gone against the Lord. They've gone too far. And now the Lord is angry. He is upset. And now he's going to deal with it. He's going to deal with it. He's going to deal with it. But it's crazy because the oppressor thinks that he can come up against the Most High. Come up and fight the Most High. We're going to find out something. Daniel 8 and it's the book of Daniel, chapter 8 and verse 24. Oh. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. Like, this is the oppressor. His power is going to be mighty and great. But what does it say? But not by his own power. See, what you don't understand is the oppressor, he thinks he's great and mighty on his own. He think he got the way he was because of his own. The oppressor didn't get the way he was because of his own self. The oppressor didn't get the way he was because of his own glory, because he was just great and mighty and strong. No. He got the way he was because of the Lord. The Lord allowed him to be great. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. It's of the Lord's power. And it says what? And he shall destroy wonderfully. I mean, dang, has he not destroyed wonderfully? The oppressor has definitely gone out and unalived and stolen and raped, robbed, and murdered and done all these atrocities against every nation on the face of the earth. He's done so much destruction. He's doing destruction right now. Yeah, he's doing destruction to this day right now. He has been doing destruction since the beginning. It says, and his power will be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully. Like, he's out here destroying nations. I mean, you see the things that are happening. You see the things that the oppressor is doing. He was out here destroying. He was taking nations. He was taking land. He was taking all of it. He was taking identities, all of it. He was destroyed wonderfully. And it says, and she shall, it's like, and shall prosper. Like, the oppressor, he definitely prospered. I mean, look at his kingdom. This kingdom is a big old kingdom. He all around the earth. You got the army over there. You got the navy over here. You got his whole army everywhere. He's been prospering pretty great. He's got a lot of money. He's got a strong kingdom. And practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. You're going to destroy the mighty and the holy people. Verse 25. And through his policies also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. And by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand. Like, dang. So oppressor, he's been so prideful. He's so prideful out here. and it has such a hatred towards you, and doesn't think that nobody's gonna come up against them. Doesn't think that anybody's gonna come up against them. But I'm gonna let you know something, Black Hispanics and Native Americans. The Lord is gonna come up against the oppressor, and ain't no hand finna be put. He ain't finna be destroyed with a hand. Not one hand. Like the Lord said, He ain't gonna meet thee as a man. He ain't gonna meet the oppressor as a man. He ain't gonna meet the oppressor as a man. But the oppressor, he has had such a hatred towards Black Hispanics and Native Americans. What are you doing? He has such a hatred. And the Lord sees that. The Lord sees the things that He does to Black Hispanics and Native Americans. Like He's out here unaliving us to this day. He's been having this hatred towards us since the beginning of time. Since the beginning. Like, man, you got Black Wall Street. You got all these things that he has caused to be destroyed. And he's still causing our people to be destroyed. Keeping his foot on us. His foot on our neck. This is what he has. He comes out here and he destroys us even further and further. And he makes it even worse for us because he has a perpetual hatred that is against Black Hispanics and Native Americans. There's a hatred that is really set against Black Hispanics and Native Americans because he doesn't love us. He doesn't love Black Hispanics and Native Americans. He may come out here and be real peaceful and nice to you, but truthfully, he's not. He don't love you. He don't love you. But he truly hates you. He truly hates you. I mean, dang. The oppressor is definitely. I mean, he tells you, "Oh, peace, peace. We all gonna come together and love each other." But what did that do? That ended up destroying us. Because now we put our guard down. Now we trust him, and now look at us. Now we're destroyed. I mean, then the worst thing we could have did was agree and trust this man and join with them, and that's exactly what we did. Because the oppressor is a slick. He's slick. He's real sneaky with his how he operates. He was able to learn and study Black Hispanics and Native Americans and be able to use the things that you are weak at and use it against you. He's able to use the weapons against us. And now look at it. We have fallen for the vain things. We have fallen for his lies. We have fallen for all these different things that he has done against us. All these traps that he has set against us. We have fallen for them. Because he has a hatred that is absolutely set against us. And we think he coming with all love and peace, but he really coming to destroy. He really coming to unalive you and take you down, and that's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. Again. But it's crazy because our people think, nah, we just gotta vote. We gotta do as much as we can to love the oppressor, to show them that we want to join with him and that we can gain his support. And no, that is not the answer to our problems. That's not the answer to our problems. That's not what's going to help us here in America. The only thing that's going to be able to help us is to separate from this place. Separate from America. Because that's what's going to be able to help us and get us out of here. Because you can't join with the people who hate you. You can't. They have a whole perpetual hatred towards you, and you can't join with them. They're never going to change. Their hatred towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans will never change. But our people, we think that if we just do enough and love them enough and vote and go out and support them enough, they'll change. They'll love us. No, that's not the answer to our problems. We need to separate from America, separate from this place, and join and love our own people. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 10 and verse 8. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. Because the oppressor, you got the police out here, he's sitting in the lurking places of the villages. Like he sits around and he waits for you to mess up. He sits around and he watches real closely, waiting for you to do something wrong. You got the police out here, they sitting around there, they sit in the dark with all their lights off, just waiting for you. Sitting there waiting for you to make one wrong move. Sometimes you ain't even gotta make a wrong move. You don't even make a wrong move. You just be trying to get home and do what you gotta do to help your family. And he come out of nowhere because he is sitting in the lurking places watching. Uh, he is sitting in the lurking places of the villages. In secret places doeth he murder the innocent. Like, dang. Like I say, you ain't even gotta do anything. Sometimes he just come and he mess with you just because he wants to. He wants to pick on you because he can. Because what are we gonna do about it? I mean, hey, we can go and protest, we can go and try to vote, but these things aren't gonna do nothing. These things aren't gonna solve those problems. Not at all. But he's sitting those, he goes and he unalives the innocent, just like he did Sonia Messi. Like, dang, these people have had such a perpetual hatred toward us, and it's still happening to the day. To this day, they still have a perpetual hatred toward us, and we think, oh, nah, they love us. I don't know what you're talking about. No, they don't hate us. What are you talking about? They love us. No, they hate us. They have had a hatred that is never gonna change, and you can never change that because nobody can change what the Lord made wicked. Nobody can change what the Lord made to be evil. Like, who can change what the Lord made to be evil to be good? Like, you can't do that. You can't change something the Lord set in stone. The Lord set something in stone. It's set in stone. Just like the oppressor. The Lord made the oppressor the way he is, and the oppressor is going to stay the way he is. He's going to stay evilly and wicked. That's exactly what he's going to stay. And that's exactly what he is. He is evil and wicked, and his hatred will never go away. We think that hatred, if we just do enough, if we just vote enough, if we just love him enough, it's going to go away. But no. The oppressor's hatred will never go away. His hatred is ongoing and perpetual. It's never changing. It's forever. Forever. And that's what we've got to realize. We've got to wake up and realize that the oppressor, no matter how much we try to love them, no matter how much we try to come and vote for them or try to come and support them, they will always have a hatred. And they've always had it. Their history proves it. Look at their history, Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Look at their history. Their history has proven that they hate us, that they have had a perpetual hatred towards Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, that they do not love us. Their history has proven it time and time again. You tell me a time where the oppressor hasn't unalived Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. It's tried to, you tell me a time where they haven't shown hatred. They're always showing hatred. And now it's starting to get even worse. But because we don't know what hatred is, we don't know what love is, we're blinded by it. Now we're confused. We think that they're showing love to us when they're really showing hatred to us. And now we think that love is hatred. We have it backwards. We are now confused because we have now learned a different meaning of love. We now learned a different meaning of hatred. We think that coming and showing our people we love them is hatred. And that's why you got brothers and sisters who call us a hate group. And then they call us a hate group. But we coming out here and showing our people love. I mean, then love is correction. We correcting our people, letting you know who the enemy is. So that you don't get unalived. So that you don't get your head taken off. You don't get unalived here in America. So you can have a fighting chance. That's what we do. We come out here and warn our people. But America is the snake that is devouring the people slowly. Just eating off of them. Just in a pit of eggs. Well, yeah, he sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, in the secret places doeth he murder the innocent. Like he's in the he murders the innocent in the secret places. Like you gotta think about all the things that happen off camera. There were probably so many brothers and sisters who were unalived and nobody knew what happened. You gotta understand if the body cameras were not on the police, nobody would have known what happened to Sonia Messi. That would have everybody would have been like, what happened? And it would have never gotten out. It'd have been like, oh, she just, I guess, unalived herself. But no, because they had the footage, we was able to see what happened. But imagine if we didn't have that footage. Imagine if we didn't have that footage. We wouldn't have seen it. We wouldn't have known what happened. And they would have come up with some story saying, oh, something happened to her. We don't really know what happened. We can't say what happened. And think about how many brothers and sisters that has happened to that were unalived, that were innocent. Innocent brothers and sisters that were unalived in the secret place when they didn't have no camera. Like, think about that. I mean, dang, his eyes are privily set against the poor. Like, he's definitely set against the poor. Coming up against the poor. I mean, Sonia Messi, she was a poor sister. She ain't got nothing. And because she was poor, he thought he could treat her any kind of way. That he could move her around any kind of way. Unalive her and her life wouldn't matter. Because that's how they think about us. They have such a hatred towards us. They think they look at us as nothing. As we just poor people. I mean, someone poor. Why ain't anybody gonna care for them? Who's gonna care for this people? Who's gonna care for this person? And now, in their mind, they think they can treat you any kind of way. That they could just unalive you and nobody's gonna miss you. Oh, because of these things, the oppressor has a judgment coming to America. The oppressor has a judgment coming because of these things that he has done, the crimes that he has committed against Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans. Because of his doings, the Lord has a judgment coming to this place. The Lord has a judgment coming to this place. But with that, this is the Israelite School of Universal and Practical Knowledge. Started at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, and Elite Commander Johanna. And with that, I gotta get that. This is Isupk security announcements. We had the Isupk start out at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York. Rule for new brother and sister. When a new brother or sister comes to the school, they're off limits for 6 months. They're to be saluted only. They're here to shut themselves of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will get permission to, from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in the book of Numbers, chapter 18 and verse 21, and the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. Maisha means tenth in Hebrew. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you. Give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. And it's whatsoever amount you would like. Upcoming holy convocations. We have the memorial of blowing of trumpets. First day of the 7th month, starting Wednesday 2nd, October 2024. And you can find this in the book of Leviticus, chapter 23, verse 24 through 25. Okay, and if any trooper wants to be and if anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black: boots, shirts, pants, hat, and scarf. And this will conclude the Isupk announcements. With that, everybody, Majum, which means to stand. We're going to solve upon Wakadam, which means to turn and face the east. We're going to read the Lord's Prayer in the last one of Kadash. Abanao, Shabbat Shema, Kadash, Hayah, Shamka, Yahweh, Malafwaka, Taba'ah, Ratazayaka, Hayah, Aisha, Ma'aratiza, Kawa, Hayya, Mashamaya, Matanana, Lakam, Ka, Yawam, Wasalakna, Kabawatna, Kasalakna, Kabawathina, Walala, Wina, Manasawan, Abal, Haishana, Mayan, Ra, Kaya, Laka, Hamalakwa, Waha'ala, Wata Paraf, Walalumi. Amen. And what we said was, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, Yahweh. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. So be it. Okay, we're sorry, I'm going to face the front. I'm going to give the brothers one courtesy salute. All right. Individual Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shem Yahshua Barakatam. Yadi Matah. We're going to turn and face the sisters to give the sisters one courtesy salute. Individual Amajim Shabbat, Amajim, Barak, Yahweh Shema Alatah Ba'Hashem Yahushua. Yadi Matah. Class dismissed.